Hey, thanks so much, Rory. Thanks for having me. This is really awesome. Yeah, as it was just stated, we'll be talking a lot about just the life lessons that we've learned over the years. So, just to kind of give a little bit of an idea here, this talk is really the whole purpose of it is to unlock something in each and every one of us that is something that we might not. We could be better at. It challenges us. It challenges me every time I give this talk, but to challenge us with what we might, yeah, a weak spot we may have, or something we might have heard and it just refreshes you and ignites you and inspires you to do something that you may have heard before or never have done before. So enjoy. It's going to be, we're going to kind of rapid fire a lot of different points and lessons throughout. So it's going to be pretty fast paced, and yeah, looking forward to it. Just to get right into it, just to briefly talk, I'll just mention myself really quick. But yeah, I am the CTO and co-founder at Hounder. Previous to working at, starting my own company, I worked at other software organizations. So I come from the corporate I have a more of a corporate background. I was the web director at Esri for about 10 years. I've really been lucky to have this unique kind of career over the years to be able to see what it's like from more on like a larger corporate leadership type of role, as well as starting my own company and growing that from the ground up, and that more of that startup type of mentality. And so it's a lot of these lessons and these tips we're going to go through are really looking at from both of those perspectives. So if you are, working, whether it be for a business or you have your own, this will all attain to all of you. A little bit about what we're doing now is we are a digital design development company. And so we partner with a lot of the largest companies in the world to build product, new experiences, and all that good stuff. So that's just a little bit about myself and us. But getting right into it, the business side of things, we're going to break a lot of these things we've learned over the years that we're going to challenge all of us on is things in the business. So this will start. So it doesn't matter if you work for yourself or if you are, you have your own company or you work for somebody. This all pertains to everyone. So first and foremost, honesty. This oftentimes we talk about honesty as like this is something everyone does, or this is something that yeah is a no-brainer. But in all respects, it's actually very difficult in many contexts and many cases. Um, but really embrace being honest to whether it be especially with what you're good at, what you're not good at. When you're in the hiring process, be upfront on things that you still need to grow in and things you don't, because when you're honest, it is a breath of fresh air to everybody. And it's really done wonders I've had to really learn this because this was hard for me, especially with when we created like a company from the ground up. Is there were some times where we really wanted to work with maybe a particular client, but they started to ask us stuff that wasn't really aligned in our area of expertise. And there's that ethical part where it's like, oh, we need this. We're running real lean. We got this. This would be great. But we had to, but luckily we were honest about it and said, you know what? We might not be the best person if this is what you're looking for, even though we really wanted that. And you know what? It's actually being that was a breath of fresh air to these organizations. And that actually led to more and more projects with them just because of that fact. So when in doubt, be brave and be honest. Measure yourself by customer success. So we it doesn't really matter what some things of what you even though it doesn't really matter of all the things you think you might be good at necessarily. Measure yourself by what your customer success is. Look at how are you making that boss look good? Are you actually if you're working with a client or a customer, are they seeing success in that? Measure yourself by that outcome, by those results. It is the ultimate best way to see where you need to get better and what you're already good at. Embrace constraints. All our UX and UI designers out there, it would be being a former designer as well. Whenever I had a project that was like it didn't have a brand guide to start with, or it was like the client was telling you, hey, whatever you want to do, that's like chaos to me. Like you want to embrace constraints. If you don't see some in a project or you're working on a product, start asking, what are the technical constraints here? What are the design constraints? What are the brand constraints? Constraints give us good barriers so we know what the focus is and can be. It can also really help on the financial side of things. If you are a startup and you're lean, great. those pennies that you have and that little bit of money you might have, you will use every cent of that and use it for the right ways because you have those constraints. It it's just is a it's a embrace those constraints. It is a real game changer. Also, ideas are free. So really culminate in your culture, in your work, really culminate a culture of ideas. All the best products, the best services all come from people starting to just talk about ideas. And you sometimes the first one might not be really hitting the mark, but that spurs the next one and the next one and the next one until you land on something. So really, really always in every meeting, ask people, what do you think? Do you have any ideas here? Call it out, especially for those that might be quiet. People sometimes are sitting on some amazing ideas and they're free. So just really think about that when you're in those conversations. Pretend you're a rocket scientist. I love this one. This one actually comes from a friend of mine named Mark Hemian, who is just an amazing founder for several different startup companies over the years, and several of these are ideas I've learned from him over the years. But when you are working on whether it be a product, you're designing something new, you're maybe starting your own company, uh, think of yourself as that kind of scientist where you have because no matter what, every product that ever goes out, it's the ultimate science experiment. You think you might know what someone needs. You think you might know that this will meet someone's goals and help them, but in reality, you have a theory and you test that, and you're testing it. And you're testing your hypothesis. So really approach new projects, new designs, new organizations. Really approach each and every one of those like you're a rocket scientist and get really scientific with it. It really, really helps. Also, business needs over tools. Uh, if don't let tools dictate your business processes. It should always be. You can use a cork board for your workflows and things like that until you realize how your organization or your division that you're in, how it should really work and operate, and then implement tools to help automate those things. But don't let the tools dictate how you should work. Also, 10-minute meetings. This was a game changer for me. 10-minute meetings, it's amazing what you can discuss and talk about if you give yourself that constraint of 10 minutes. And then it opens your day to get the actual work done. So really engage in that. Now, if you're doing the big discovery meetings that take a day, 2 days, things like that, of course. But for most conversations with your team, with a stakeholder, you can try to limit it to 10 minutes and see what it does for you. It's pretty remarkable. Now, other than honesty, this is something that also like Hounder stood like really got really great success in and kind of went off the backs of this is mailing handwritten cards. If you're doing a new idea or new project or you're trying to make new connections, mail handwritten cards. It's amazing. We started doing it, and that's what really drove a lot of a lot of the customers and work that we did because we got their attention by knowing them and understanding them and handwriting the card to them, which no one does or sees anymore. So just a kind of a neat, fun little tidbit there. And people would take pictures and tweet it and all that stuff. So it's really, really cool. Um, Highly recommend it. Also, punch above your weight class. Um, if you're still talking to the folks that you're currently working with on a constant basis, great, and that's awesome. But if you want to continue to move forward in any, if you have higher goals or other sites of where you're currently at, start talking to those folks, start commenting on their posts, on their LinkedIn comments and things like that. Start engaging and really just look for what's that goal that you have and go after it. Don't sit and wait for it to come to you because it never will. So constantly look at what's my next goal in life. What's that thing I'm doing? If I'm influenced by this person, I'm going to go and talk to them. Don't be afraid to do that and engage them. Punch above your weight class always. Everyone's involved in the creative process. So us creatives, we gotta stop. We do have to sometimes stop saying, "Oh, this is a creative meeting." These are just for the creatives or the designers or something like that. Because in reality, everyone is truly involved in that creative process. The product managers have a lot of creative ideas around because they're talking to those customers. The developers have a lot of great ideas in that creative process because they understand the engineering side of how it really has to be done and created. So really, really have a culture of just including everyone, similar to what Kat said as well. really provide that inclusion because everyone truly is involved in that creative process. And a company that talks about themselves is boring. So if those like our designers and our marketing friends that are here, really look at what's the outcome of things to talk about. So customer successes, talk about the customer, how that you make them successful. Talk about the because they use your product. This is now was the outcome of what resulted in that. Talk about them because at the end of the day, it's all about people. No one wants to just hear a company talk about how great they are. It's the worst. So just kind of keep that in mind. Marketing managers, content marketers, keep that in mind because the true story is the product. It's the outcome and it's the people. Observe and learn and create. Yes, you gotta before you create, it saves you so much time if you really take the time at the beginning to truly learn and understand how what the needs might be for any project or any product, and learn specifically yeah, what it really needs to be before you even start picking up the pencil and paper, before you start doing any design work or development work. Really take that time to observe and learn first before creating. Always. A good reminder, and this is always a good reminder for me, is people pay for products and services, not and outcomes, not projects. So even though it's great to be task oriented and be task minded, but we also but that's kinda goes down to the basics of just getting things done, is being task oriented and being responsible. But when it comes down to it, um, people are looking for outcomes. So we need to also be results oriented and discuss when we're discussing with our stakeholders, instead of spending too much time just talking about all the tasks that's going on, although that is important, we do need to refocus on the outcomes because that's what people are paying for. They're paying for the outcomes. They're paying for seeing things and the results that come out of it. So always keep that in mind. Challenge assumptions frequently. Um, this one actually is one that I constantly have to work on because I'll assume and then think it's fact because I make an assumption it just makes sense in my own brain. So challenge those assumptions frequently. It's amazing what that will spark in terms, especially if you're working with a team. Um, Challenge those things in a good way, and great things will come out of it because we assume so many things even though we don't realize it. Now we're going to get into talking more about us from more of like that personal kind of perspective. So saying no is a strength. I've really had to learn this, especially in leadership, and then especially when I started my own company. Saying no is something that for me, I deep down, I want to be a people pleaser. I want to say yes to almost everything that comes up. But just like a muscle that you have to develop strength in, you have to constantly exercise it. And no is very the word no is very much that. It is hard in a lot of circumstances to say no when you know something's right, the right way to go and the right thing to do. Designers see this all the time as well. Developers see this all the time as well. Just saying no is a strength, and remember that. So when there's something that comes up, don't be afraid to say no, and know that especially when you know it's for the greater good. Be ready to do so. Something Kat mentioned as well, to a slightly different spin, but yeah, show up every day. Don't tell anybody, but there's sometimes, even as a co-founder, there's sometimes that I don't want to be super present and just talk to a lot of people and be very engaged. Um, but I have to oftentimes stir, in some cases, on certain days, I got to stir myself up. So when you're like that on some days, which everyone I believe gets that way at one point or another, life happens, but you need to stir yourself up why you like doing what you do and why you care about it again, and just show up and be engaged. Don't be that person in those meetings or in those calls that just look like they're doing something else. Show up, be engaged, look at people in the eye. Stay hungry as well at the same time. It's very similar. Just keep stirring yourself up. It's the days that you don't feel like it the least is when you really need to stir something inside you. So stay hungry. When I lose that, feel like I'm losing that fire. That's when I need to kind of really kind of start throwing that I need help kind of wave that flag a bit, because if you don't start stirring yourself up and staying hungry, you can get into that little lull. So to avoid that, you gotta just when you feel like it the least, stir it up. Your title doesn't matter. Now, some folks might look at this and go, "Well, you know what, Josh, hold up. My title does matter because in my maybe in my company, in my organization that I'm in, I need to my title actually depends on how much I make and things like that." And 100% understand that. What I'm really referring to here is, yeah, maybe you have junior designer on your title today because you've only been a few years in, but you know what? You can go ahead and start operating right now at that capacity of a senior level designer. Start making sure you're spending time being mentored by those folks that you want, maybe that you want to be like, or you want to work at that level in that capacity. Start start it with it being in here in your head, and start getting there and start operating at that ability. Learn and operate at that ability. And guess what? When it comes down to it, when the company needs the really good ideas and things like that, they don't look and go, well, they're just a junior so and so. No, we need him in or her in here to go over this because they see the potential, they see what you do. So don't just operate at that title level. You're more than that. Stop saying I feel, or in my opinion. I say this because I will be very guilty of doing this oftentimes. But the reality is own your idea, own your thought. Be confident in yourself. Because if you recognize something that might need to get better or be different than where it's going, you don't need to discount it in any way, shape, or form. Say it and own it and be confident in it because it'll spur some really great ideas as well, and create change and positive change. Take 20 minutes to learn something new each day. This one, I'll tell you, out of a lot of them, this is the one I always need, but I struggle with the most. But every time I get into a good habit of learning something new each day, it is remarkable how often it comes up in conversation, whether it be with a client, with our team, that really helps get us over a hurdle, or it becomes something I can utilize and use because I've learned. I use the Pocket app now, and it's a really great app that like you can choose what like topics you're into or that you want to learn more about, and it will feed those things to you in nice bite-sized chunks. So it's a nice little way. Or sometimes I'll scan Twitter with certain people that I'm following just to take a few minutes to learn something that I didn't know already. And like I said, every time I do that, it seems to come up in a conversation or in a customer or client's needs in some way, shape, or form pretty quickly after I learn it. So it's remarkable. Be cheerleaders for others all the time. Um, we we love it, right? When people are, will be someone who will be, all for us and all in for us, and inspire us, and always are on our side. We love that. And sometimes we'll think to ourselves just inherently that, oh, that's maybe this person in leadership, that's their job. But in reality, it's all of our jobs to build people up, to be there for people. It's all about people at the end of the day, like we said before. So be those cheerleaders, be that person to inspire and to enable and empower, to all those around you. It's not just someone who might have a leadership title or anything like that. Operate in that, and good things will come of it. Soft skills are difference makers. I think we can all look and say, when you look at those people that you love to work with, and then go, oh, I love working with her, or I love working with him. Um, Oftentimes it's because they have really great soft skills. They're easy to talk to. They're someone that, if someone is maybe has aggressive emails or anything like that, that they know how to respond, and in a very good way, in a very positive way. Um, Soft skills are difference makers. People want to work with you. People want to have those conversations with you. They want to include you in things like, so have those soft skills. It truly is difference makers. And I'd rather work with someone who might not be as talented than someone who's just grumpy and and doesn't want to, and doesn't really want to engage. So just something to be aware of. Um, when it comes to hiring, focus on the person, because we all learn every day. We learn new things in this field. Things are happening so quick. So I can always teach someone how to be a better designer. or I can always teach someone how to maybe be a better like front end developer. I can't teach someone how to treat people. So look at those areas and ask yourself: Is this someone I'd like to work with every day? If you're looking at hiring, because remember, we can teach and we can also inspire, and everyone learns something new in your day, especially in this industry. So focus on the person, as well as their skill sets. So disagree. It sparks creativity. Um, there's a great book by Aaron Irizarry called Discussing Design. Highly recommend it for all us UX UI and even product managers, program managers. It is really great, but really create a culture that's like, hey, it is okay to disagree, because when you do that and you talk about it and you disagree in those right ways where it's no defenses are there, it does those. That's where the real, true, amazing ideas and creative thoughts come into play. So don't be afraid to do that, and do it obviously in a nice, great way, and not a harsh way in any way. But disagreeing, it does. It sparks creativity. Transparency equals trust. Um, you're never too big or too high up on the on the chain of any organization or anything like that to not show transparency. It's just kind of yeah, it's something we all need to do and really think about, on a daily basis, and make sure it's instilled in us as best as possible. um, I've never met a successful pessimistic person. Anything good always starts with first a belief in something, a belief in seeing this through, a belief in working on this, this project, or designing out, experiences for people. It's the first. It starts with the belief that this is going to be something that's going to be special and something that's going to change lives or change the world around us. So make sure you're checking here, because some of us can sometimes be naturally that way. I know I can. So something that I always have to check myself as well, because it all starts with that belief. Um, 10-minute email breaks. This is another one that it's I'll do one, like less than 10 minutes in the morning, then in the then in like the middle of the day, and then at the end of the day. That way you can focus on all the work that needs to be done, things that move your business forward or your product or and company forward. Um, yeah, it really is a game changer. Take those little breaks here and there. Don't let it rule you. That's for sure. This one's for me as well. Stop saying I'm so busy. Everyone's busy. We're all busy as professionals here. Sometimes saying that, even though you might not mean to, sometimes saying that makes it feel for other people that, oh, you must be busier than me, or something like that, and maybe I'm less important or something. Like, there's some things that can come out of that. So just be aware. But I like to try to erase that from my vocabulary, even though it wants to, come up every once in a while, because I'll be busy. Balancing everything. This just goes without saying. Work life balance obviously really key, but too much of anything is usually not very good. So just keep an eye on it. Yeah, keep an eye. That time you're spending on work and with family, or and yourself. Make sure there's balance in all of those things. All right, now getting into the risk side, we're going to just rapid fire these. Focus only on what's essential. Don't focus on stuff. If this is going to move my product forward, or this is going to move my business forward, or this is going to move our team forward, that's what I need to focus on. What moves the needle? Everything else doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Focus on truly what's the goal, what's going to move things forward, and that should be, and laser focus on those things. If it's not a heck yeah, it's a heck no. This is something we live by here at this company here at Hounder. If it's even if it's like a hiring decision, yeah, heck yeah, we would love to work with this person every day. Or if it's not that, then it's a no. Or if it's a partner we want to work with, or a new client, like, oh yeah, heck yeah, this is a no brainer. Then that's a yes. Anything else, it's a no. Something for all of us to remember: time is expensive. Whether you own your own company or you work for somebody, just being a good employee, think about your time. What time are you investing in? And also, it's the most important thing that you have is your time as well, right? So look at what are you spending your time on, because it's expensive one way, shape, or the other. No sales, equals no business. There's times where we've had like designers, developers alike will have to pick up stop what they're doing, pick up the phone and start making sales calls. Um, the five of the biggest software companies in the world are and the most revenue are all sales and marketing tools. So every company, they can't exist without sales. So don't underestimate that. Don't underestimate that for every minute you may spend on building a product or designing a product, you'll have to spend probably 2 times that on marketing and sales for it. You can't underestimate what it takes to get people to really utilize your product, even though if your product is amazing, or your website, etc. You got to spend that time. Couple quick ones. Grow as demand for you grows. We sometimes, especially in the startup world, it's like growth is key, but the biggest thing is really make sure you're doing great work, people like what you're doing, your product is being utilized and you're focusing on that, and then as that demand grows, grow. You don't want to self implode. um, Build teams based on individuals, not skills. Cross-functional teams are key. If you're a manager in this place, look at who needs to be paired together. Don't just group everyone together based on their skills. Last ones, don't create, document, don't create. When you're doing social media, just document what you're doing. Don't feel like you have to create all new content just on social media. If you're helping, the company move forward, do something, document what that looks like and put it out there. Yeah, don't feel like you have to create all this new kind of content from scratch because what you're doing is pretty remarkable uh, and really people are more interested in that genuineness and what's real. And then lastly, you got anything that's worth anything, you're usually not going to get a yes right away. So keep grinding, keep going. A lot of us have a tough time with the word no when we hear it and we don't try again. Just keep going, keep following up, keep going because it's usually the 9th, 10th, 12th, 20th time is when you get to where you needed to go. So don't get discouraged and don't give up and don't stop. That's everything for me. I really hope you got something out of this. At least we're able to get a couple little pieces that just spoke to you and unlock something in you. Would love to hear from you at any point, and looking forward to also feel free to reach out to me, but also looking forward to any questions you might have. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Josh. That was rapid fire, as you said, but some really good piece of insight there.
Cool.
Well, there's one personal kind of question. It's please repeat the name of the book and the author that you mentioned.
Yes. So it's called Discussing Design, and it's from Aaron Irizarry, and he co-wrote it with another person too. I can't remember his name, but yeah, if it's I believe it's an O'Reilly book. So yeah, but called Discussing Design, really great book that can really help just kind of set the stage the right way when you want to discuss design. You want to start there's just disagreements and that creativity that sparks from it. It's a wonderful book that helps your team.
Brilliant. So Natalia, I hope you can look up that book now. One question that I had actually, because there's so much, where do you struggle the most? Where is the one or two that it's kind of the ones that you have to keep reminding yourself about?
Oh, that's a really great question. The biggest one I think that I struggle with the most that I really have to kind of check myself on is focusing on really truly what matters, that moves the business forward or moves project forward, etc. Because I love to say yes to a lot of things. Um, I love to be involved and it's just that's just a part of who I am. And so I've had to really learn. I have to constantly remind myself that, hey, like what really is going to move this forward is if I do this, not if I do that other thing. So really kind of checking myself a bit when it comes up because I can see a squirrel pretty quickly and go, ooh, that looks fun, or whatever. But it's really being locked in on what truly matters and will move things forward.
Yeah, no, it's difficult as the kind of co-founder because you're trying to juggle so many balls in the air that but yeah, you do have to. It's something I struggle with as well. So
Yeah. Oh, it's a constant juggling act, right?
brilliant. Well, I think actually that brings us to time. So I just want to say thank you once again for sharing all of your tips.
Thanks all. Thanks so much.